Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. On this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now on episode 188. So 188 episodes through, and I got action-packed episode planned for you. The World Series is set. NBA opening night is tonight. NFL, what a great week we had. College football, things are still rolling. Get ready for a great episode 188. Let's hop into it. Let's start off episode 188, how we always do, with the headlines in the NBA. The NBA season has just started, everybody. I really can't wait. You're going to hear a lot of my thoughts on the NBA. This episode, I'm going to give you my top 5 teams. I'm going to give you my championship winner. Don't want to give away too much right now in the headlines, but just glad that the NBA officially back from now until pretty much June. Love to see it. NBA, a lot of exciting things this season. In-season tournament, Lakers went last year. A lot of interesting headlines going into this year. New York Knicks, new look for them. Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns. Lakers, LeBron James. And LeBron, the first father-son duo in the NBA. How will the Warriors look? How will the Sixers look? Joel Embiid out for the first week of the season. A lot of interesting headlines going into this NBA season. That's about for the headlines in the NBA. For the NFL, we kicked off our week with the Broncos versus Saints on Thursday Night Football. Saints were super depleted. Broncos took them down. Easy win right there. Chiefs went up against the 49ers on Sunday. Took care of business. Super Bowl rematch wasn't close. Chiefs just played really well. 49ers, Brandon Ayuk towards ACL. Really tough stuff right there. On Monday Night Football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against Baltimore Ravens. Speaking of injuries like Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin broke his ankle with about a minute left in the game, pointless at that point. Lamar Jackson does his thing, remaining 23-1 against the NFC. Really incredible. If you hear NFC teams talk about him, it's like, Lamar Jackson, he's the greatest player of all time, because he pretty much is against the NFC. Killed me in fantasy. I had an 89% chance to win fantasy going into Monday Night Football. Lamar Jackson's 45 points happened, and that's tough stuff right there. But Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, great win. Defense played well enough. Offense, I said it'd be a shootout, and it was, and they got the win. The Rams, they went up against Raiders on Sunday. Good win for the Rams. Matthew Stafford get their second win of the season. Washington Commanders, they won big, but it comes to the price. Losing over to the Carolina Panthers, huge win, putting up 40 points. Most of them coming without their star quarterback, their MVP candidate, their rookie of the year front runner. Jane Daniels coming down with a rib injury. A main concern of Jane Daniels in college was his durability. How will he stay in the NFL? He's a little bit smaller, likes to take big hits. It's different in the NFL. And he took a big hit on Sunday, whether it was his fault or not. He's going to be out for maybe a week or two, maybe even a little bit longer. Marcus Mariota, though, I think he's a guy who can definitely step up, a guy who got a little bit overshadowed in his NFL career, a guy who had a playoff win before, a guy who really didn't get another chance after struggling in Atlanta 2 years ago. But glad to see Marcus Mariota back in the NFL with the Commanders. Seattle Seahawks, they had a great win on Sunday after a really rough stretch that they were having for a while. Took down the Atlanta Falcons on the road, really just dominating them, and they got a big game this coming up week. The Bills got a nice win on Sunday. Amari Cooper got his first touchdown with the Buffalo Bills. Really exciting right there for the Bills because they needed a big wide receiver target. They got it in Amari Cooper, and he got a touchdown in his first game with them. Cincinnati Bengals, they won over the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Expected a bigger performance from them, but still, nonetheless, they improved their record. Back-to-back wins. First time they can say that in a long time up there in Cincinnati. Green Bay Packers had the game of the week against the Texans, and they won. They had a really good game. Started out a little bit dicey. This Texans defense is a really well-coached defense, a really good defense by D'Amico Ryans, but Jordan Love played really well in that one. I'll give it to him. Had 2 early interceptions. Came back, won for them. Got the game-winning field goal. Good win. C.J. Stroud, only 86 passing yards. Something to look for right there in the upcoming weeks. How will C.J. Stroud rebound from that really rough performance against a good defense in the Packers? But still, when you're playing the best teams, you want to shine the most. It's a guy who's not unfamiliar to the Midwest. He played up at Ohio State, went up to these schools like Wisconsin, went up to these schools like Michigan, played well there. So a little bit surprised right there they didn't play well up there in Green Bay. Indianapolis Colts keeping things going. Joe Flacco got a nice win for them on Sunday over the Miami Dolphins, 16-10. For Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins, it's all haywire right now. You really can't tell me that Tyler Huntley is the best free agent on the market right now. That's the best option you have at quarterback. Don't give me Tim Boyle. Don't give me Tyler Huntley. Give me an actual quarterback that could be your quarterback right now. Make a trade. Get somebody. Get Kenny Pickett. Get Mitchell Trubisky. I don't care. Tyler Huntley's playing terrible right now. It's costing your team a lot of games, costing your team a lot of points. Tyreek Hill, your star, may not want to be there anymore because this is abysmal right now, what's going on. But Tua Tagovailoa should be coming back soon. Let's see how long that lasts. Doesn't usually last a while. So hopefully Tua can remain healthy. Just Temper your expectations if you're a Dolphins fan. Detroit Lions got the best win on Sunday over the Minnesota Vikings. Jake Bates, a guy who was sitting on his couch for 2 years and then not doing anything in football. He thought it was over for him in football. He thought he was going to go live a normal life. He just became the Detroit Lions hero on Sunday, getting the game-winning field goal over Sam Darnold and the Vikings, handing them their first loss of the season. Philadelphia Eagles keeping things going for my New York Giants. Really tough stuff right there for my Giants because Brian Dable may already have one foot out the door. Daniel Jones may already have both feet out the door. This whole staff is terrible right now. This whole team is terrible right now for the Giants. You just got cooked by Saquon Barkley, the guy that you let walk for nothing. So the Giants being terrible is my takeaway from that Eagles-Giants game because they went to your place. They went up to New York, and they took care of business, the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I expected, just still tough to see that right there for my New York Giants. Jacksonville Jaguars, they got a great win in London on Sunday. I think that helped them because they were in London last week and they got exposed by the Chicago Bears. They play another rookie quarterback this week in Drake May. And Drake May didn't play bad, but the Jaguars just a better team. I think they figured out that Travis Etienne is no longer starting running back in the NFL. Tank Bigsby is their guy, the former Auburn running back, really solid in college, now doing good things in the NFL. Tank Bigsby. So, Jaguars, nice one Sunday up in London. Pittsburgh Steelers spoiled Devontae Adams' debut with the Jets, getting a really nice one on Sunday Night Football. Russell Wilson, we see now why he was the starting quarterback going to the year. We see now why Justin Fields is benched for Russell Wilson. Maybe this is the same Russell Wilson that 5 years ago was saying, I want to be this good until I'm Brady's age. I want to play for 15 years. Maybe that Russell Wilson is back, and he was just horrible in Denver. I really think that. Russell Wilson, great game on Sunday Night Football up against the New York Jets. Baltimore Ravens, just talked about them, the great win they had on Monday Night Football. Another game on Monday Night Football. Arizona Cardinals taking down the Los Angeles Chargers. Some bad things are going on for the Chargers right now. You know what I'm going to say to the Chargers fans? Maybe Jim Harbaugh wasn't the best option. Can you give him back to me at Michigan football? That's terrible right now, the mess at Michigan football. Harbaugh, the door's always open if you want to come back. That's about for the news in the NFL. Let's move things over to the MLB. Let's break down the championship series we had. The Mets went up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was a well-fought series by my New York Mets. It really was. But the Mets eventually die out, and that's what happened right here. It was a great season. One of my favorite seasons of all time. There's nothing to dwell on right here. Dodgers are the better team. Dodgers are a great team. They got the best of the Mets. For the Yankees versus the Guardians, Guardians definitely exceeded expectations this year. The only bad thing I would say about the Guardians right now is that you thought Emilio Clase was the best pitcher of all time. You really did. And then he gets exposed in the playoffs. That's my takeaway from that series, that you had many chances to close it out. Emilio Clase just couldn't do it. It happened all throughout the playoffs. Tough stuff right there for the Guardians. That's about for the news in MLB. For college basketball, to close our headlines, we're about 2 weeks away from the season. We have a shocker. Head coach of Virginia, Tony Bennett, retiring as the head coach, resigning. Maybe he'll go to another job. Doesn't like the landscape of college basketball right now. Championship-winning head coach Tony Bennett resigns 2 weeks before the season. Didn't know that? That's about for the headlines this week. Now, Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. There's not a lot of great games in the NFL this week, but we're going to pick the good ones right here. I think we got 6 great NFL games on the list this week. Perfect record coming up. Let's hop into it. Eagles versus the Bengals. I'm good with the Eagles in this one. Eagles team playing well. But the Bengals, they should have won bigger last week. That's a really big sign of concern for me. 2 games against the Giants and over against Cleveland Browns, 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. Really couldn't put them away until the last few minutes of those games. So I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one over the Bengals. Colts versus the Texans. Colts' record is very good. That's deceiving in my opinion. Texans coming off a bad loss. They're hungry. They want another win. Texans over the Colts. Falcons versus the Buccaneers. It's a little tough one right here because these are 2 teams that had the best game in the NFL all season about a few weeks ago on Thursday Night Football. They're both coming off really bad losses. The Buccaneers defense played terrible. The Falcons offense played terrible last week. So it's going to be an exciting matchup, see how it goes. A great thing for the Falcons is Buccaneers defense played terrible. I think their offense can rebound. So for the Buccaneers right here, I think their defense, they can rebound right here because Falcons offense was terrible last week. It's just going to be who does better in this one. The Falcons got the better of them last time. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers this time down to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay. Buccaneers over the Falcons. Bills versus the Seahawks. Up in Lumen Field, the 12th man, saying it all year. Seahawks had a great start. They struggled for a while. They got a great one last week, and they're going to get a great win this week. Seahawks over the Bills. Bears versus the Commanders. It's an interesting game to me right here because it should have been Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. Now Jaden Daniels is probably going to be out. It's going to be Marcus Mariota versus Caleb Williams. I still think these teams are really good. Commanders are a great team, even without Jaden Daniels. I think they get the win this one. Commanders over the Bears. Now the best game of the week, the last game of the week. Cowboys versus the 49ers. It's a matchup last year, but the 49ers smoked them. It's a little bit of a rivalry, if you want to call it that. 49ers have so many injuries right now. You look at Jake Moody at kicker. You look at maybe even Trent Williams might not even play in this one because he was ejected last game. You look at Christian McCaffrey. You look at Brandon Ayuk. You look at Deebo Samuel, who might not play in this one. I'm thinking at it now, and I'm like, I probably should pick the Cowboys. But I'm never going to pick the Cowboys against the 49ers, and I'm not doing it right here. Kyle Shanahan still owns the Cowboys. 49ers over the Cowboys. Let's go. And that's about Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is, as our NBA season is starting up, my top 5 NBA teams. Let's hop into it. We're 5, the Phoenix Suns, the forgotten team in the NBA, the forgotten contender. They still have Devin Booker. They still have MVP Kevin Durant. They still have scoring leader at one point, Bradley Beal. They still have a really good core around this team. There's no reason why they shouldn't be a top 5 team in the NBA, one of the best teams in the West. 5, Phoenix Suns. For 4, one of their biggest rivals, and I still think they're the better team, the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks made the finals last year, and they improved on that. They have Luka Doncic. Now they got Klay Thompson, which was a big piece for them. A lot of great players in this team, a lot of great role players in this team. Mavericks, number 4. Number 3, Denver Nuggets. I like the additions the Denver Nuggets made. There's not too much of a load on Jamal Murray now. There's not too much of a load on Michael Porter Jr. because you got Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook can play at times what seems like the power forward position, even though he's super little, because he'll get so many rebounds and he can run the point very well. Now, if he doesn't shoot too much, he's a very good player. I think that will complement Nikola Jokic's game very well. Nuggets, number 3. Maybe even Russell Westbrook gets his first championship this year with the Denver Nuggets. Number 2, the reigning champions, the Boston Celtics. Now, if you're saying, well, who's above the Boston Celtics? You're going to be surprised because the team that the Boston Celtics just manhandled tonight. Yes, they manhandled them. Did I make this list before then? Probably. Am I going to change my list now? No. The New York Knicks are the best team in the NBA, everybody. They are. You look at it from top to bottom. It's not going to work right away. It really isn't, and that's showed tonight. But it's going to work at some point. And I think when it comes down to it, if the Knicks can stay healthy, which I think they will, they're going to be the most durable team, the most lasting team. Because what this team has is they're going to have stamina. They're going to be ready for it by the end of the year. When all these other teams get tired, the New York Knicks get stronger. And I think that's what happens this season. Celtics are a great team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they brought everybody back from last year. Drew Holiday, Kristaps is hurt right now, but he'll be fine. Celtics are number 2. The New York Knicks are number 1, everybody. They're going to win the NBA championship, no matter how tonight went. I don't care. That's about for top 5 this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Everybody's ready for the Knicks this season. New York is more excited than ever because they got the Yankees in the World Series, they got the Giants playing terrible football, and they got the Jets playing some good football a little bit with Devontae Adams, and they got the New York Knicks as a top contender in the NBA. That's about for top 5 this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is it's about the World Series we have this year between the Yankees and Dodgers. Now, this coast-to-coast rivalry has only happened 3 times before. Way before the 21st century, but it's happened before. And every single time that this World Series matchup has happened, the New York Yankees have come out on top. I'm not going to say what's going to happen this time, but just right there, did you know that in the 3 matchups we've had between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees in the World Series, 3 of them, and all of them, have been won by the New York Yankees? Will we see the Dodgers win their first one this year? That's the question. That's about for Did You Know this week. Now, Around the Bases, everybody. This Around the Bases takes me back to 2020. We were doing one of our first episodes ever on this show, Schoolyard Sports, and it was the World Series between Tampa Bay Rays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I predicted the Dodgers in 5 and Corey Seager to win MVP. I think they won 6 and Corey Seager won MVP. Now, we've got Yankees versus Dodgers right here. Last year, I picked the Texas Rangers to win it all from the beginning of the playoffs, and they did just exactly that. This year, from the beginning of the season, I picked the Dodgers. This year, from the beginning of the playoffs, I picked the Dodgers. My pick's not changing. My pick is not changing at all. The Los Angeles Dodgers are still going to win the World Series, everybody, and you can make that a lock. I was upset that they beat my New York Mets, but I called it. I said it would happen. I have to live with it. I called it from the beginning of the playoffs. Did it last year with the Rangers, and we're doing it this year with the Dodgers. It's going to happen once again. But who's going to win the World Series MVP? Here's my hot take right here. Mookie Betts goes cold in this series, going up to Yankee Stadium, doesn't play well, didn't play well in that Padres series till the end. He's not historically a great playoff hitter, even though he's done well this playoffs. I think he goes back to his old ways, plays bad in this series, but the guy who shines in this series for the Dodgers is, of course, their $700 million man, the guy who's incredible on all facets of baseball. Shohei Ohtani wins World Series MVP, and the Dodgers win the World Series, everybody. Their first time winning a World Series over the New York Yankees, and what will be the fourth coast-to-coast New York versus LA World Series. And that's about it for Around the Bases this week, everybody. Great season for the Yankees, better one for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are going to be the World Series champions when it's all said and done. I'm going to be blunt right here. Justin Herbert, the time is now. Time is now, everybody, for Justin Herbert to step up as a quarterback in this league and win games. It really is. You look at it on paper, Justin Herbert's stats this season, not too bad. I think he's got 8 touchdowns, maybe only 1 pick. Look at Mahomes, he's got 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. Difference is Mahomes is 7-0. Justin Herbert has a losing record. Justin Herbert has a great head coach now, Jim Harbaugh. What's the excuse now? Justin Herbert was great his second year in the NFL with a bad head coach, Brandon Staley, a good defense behind him. Brandon Staley has 2 rough years after that. Well, not even 2 years after that. Justin Herbert's second year in the NFL, maybe a bad decision by Brandon Staley, didn't get into the playoffs, but still had a good year. Third year, gets them into the playoffs. They had a collapse in the playoff round, wildcard round, gets the Jaguars. 4th year, didn't go as planned. 5th year, didn't go as planned because he got injured and stuff. But still, in the 6th year, and it's crazy to think about, in the 6th year of Justin Herbert football, the time is now, everybody, for Justin Herbert to step up as an NFL quarterback and win some football games. It is. With a good head coach, Jim Harbaugh, with a decent supporting staff. A lot of people are going to say this is a really bad roster around Justin Herbert. I don't think so. You go to his first year with Anthony Lynn. That's a bad staff in 2020. 2021, not a bad year. Bad staff maybe, but still, good players around him. Keenan Allen. 2022, it's his 3rd year. 2023, 4th year. So yeah, this is his 5th year, actually, not his 6th year in the NFL for Justin Herbert. But still, like I just said, the time is now. And you've got 3 really easy games coming up. If you don't win those 3 games, all 3 of those games, there is some real cause for concern. Everybody loves to talk about how maybe Mahomes is struggling, how Lamar is doing great. But one thing being overshadowed this season by many people in the NFL is Justin Herbert. The struggle that Justin Herbert is going through right now. He's a great quarterback in this league. So we thought. I'm not going to say that Justin Herbert is fraudulent right now, but these 3 games will decide my stance on Justin Herbert. So like I say, Justin Herbert, the time is now. You're playing the Saints, you're playing the Browns, and you're playing the Titans. Those are 3 very, very easy games. You don't win those, we got some real issues down in LA for the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. There's a quarterback up in Minnesota right now, J.J. McCarthy, playing behind, at least injured behind, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Sam Darnold. Let's say Justin Herbert doesn't pan out this year, doesn't play well, finishes the year terrible. Sam Darnold plays great for the Minnesota Vikings. Jim Harbaugh says, what if I go get my old college quarterback, J.J. McCarthy? Not saying it's going to happen, but Justin Herbert's not playing good football right now, everybody, and neither are the Chargers. That's about for my spotlight this week. Now, College Ball Showcase. Now we roll. I give you my top 25, and then I give you my games of the week, the hot takes, 6 hot takes. Not gonna lie, everybody, we've been doing very poorly on the hot takes. For me being the best college ball analyst in the country, knowing the most about college ball in the country, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have been horrible on my picks this year, but just wait for my top 6, and you're gonna see that those 6 hot takes are gonna all hit this week. So, you listen to the best college ball analyst in the country. Here's my top 25. Let's hop into it. Number 1, Oregon Ducks. 2, Georgia Bulldogs, just the best one this season, over Texas in Austin. Great win. Number 3, Penn State, undefeated. Gotta give them props. 3, Penn State. 4, Miami, same thing. Undefeated. Give credit where credit is due. They went into Louisville. I thought they would lose. They held their ground. They won 52-45. 5, Texas. They were number 2 last week for me. They don't take a huge fall. It was a tough loss against Georgia, but still, you want to play with the big boys. You want to be in the SEC. You win these home games at night. Look at LSU. They don't lose night home games. No matter if they're number 15 in the country, if they're number 1 in the country, they don't lose home games at night. If you want to be in the SEC, you want to be a perennial contender, you don't lose home night games. That's what Texas did on Saturday. 5, Texas. 6, Tennessee. Great rebound win against Alabama after losing to Arkansas 2 weeks ago and playing horrible against Florida 1 week ago. But again, for the 3rd straight week for Tennessee, shutout at halftime. 7, Ohio State Buckeyes. 8, LSU. Go Tigers. 9, Clemson. Clemson just keeps on improving, everybody. And now they have one of the best losses in the country, Georgia. Clemson, don't be surprised, everybody, if they are a top 5 team in 2 weeks. 9, Clemson. 10, BYU, the best team in the Big 12. 11, Notre Dame, huge matchup this week against Navy. 12, Indiana. Everybody loves Indiana football, including me. 13, Alabama. Roll Tide, maybe, because this team is playing terrible right now. Kalen DeBoer, how many years does he get here? It's looking poor in year one right now, but still, Nick Saban's year one didn't look great either. 15, Boise State. 14, Texas A&M. We go back there. 14, Texas A&M. A&M's playing pretty well, everybody. They have that one loss in Notre Dame, but outside of that, they've won some good games, and they got a really good test against LSU this week. Now, 15, Boise State. Ashton Genty coming off the bye week. I expect him to play well this week. 16, Iowa State. Iowa State can run the table in the Big 12, beat BYU in the Big 12 championship. Look for that to happen. They got a great one Saturday. Maybe a little bit lucky against UCF. UCF had 2 pick sixes. One of them, pick sixes, ran all the way back to the 1-yard line. Guy decides to drop the ball before he enters the end zone. Not a touchdown. It's a touchback for Iowa State. If that guy doesn't drop the ball right there, Iowa State loses that game. They're probably not in my rankings this week, but they won it. 16, Iowa State. 17, Missouri. Brady Cook shows some guts on Saturday. Coming back to the game after being knocked out, going to the hospital, getting an MRI, coming back, and throwing 2 touchdowns to win the game. 17, Missouri. 18, SMU. Ponies. Good matchup this week against Duke. Let's see how that goes. 19, Illinois. Illinois played against Michigan and did something that nobody has done to Michigan in the past 4 years, and that's tactically destroy them. Not physically, or maybe even physically. Not through maybe big pass plays. Not through big run plays. They tactically destroyed Michigan. They had their right tactics. They had the right strategies. Brett Bielema, like he says, you don't beat Michigan 1 week. You play for Michigan 365 days throughout the year to win that game. Brett Bielema has pretty much had Michigan's number in his time at Illinois, almost beating them up at the Big House 2 years ago in 2022, and beating them this time down Champaign, Illinois. 19, Illinois. 20, Navy. Huge matchup this week against Notre Dame. 21, Pitt. Eli Holstein Company are playing great football. 22, Army, also undefeated. 23, Kansas State, only 1 loss in the year. They're playing good football. 24, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, big matchup against Texas this week. You're 5-2. You want to be in that college football playoff conversation. You win that home game against Texas this week. And probably the most anticipated home game now in Vanderbilt football history. And 25, the Duke Blue Devils, everybody. I have Ole Miss on my paper. But now that I think about it, Duke is playing SMU this week. I went to the Duke game last week. Duke is a good football team, playing 1 loss in the season. Duke, number 25. That's spot for the showcase this week. Now, it's time for the hot takes, everybody. Like I've said, we've been horrible on the hot takes this year. I've been terrible. I'm accountable for that. I know the most about college football than anybody in this country. I should get them right every week. I should know what I'm talking about right here. I give you the analysis. I think it makes sense in the time. I watch it on Saturday. Doesn't always work out in my favor. But this week, it's going to work out in my favor. So let's start out with a great game we have. First game of the day, Navy versus Notre Dame. Neutral site up in MetLife Stadium. It's always a perennial game. Like watching this game always. Navy, they kind of work out Marcus Freeman in the second half. You look at the game 2 years ago, Notre Dame goes up big in the first half. Navy comes back in the second half, makes a 1-possession game to end the game. Navy is a really good quarterback right now. Blake Horvath, Brad Outberry, in his second year at Navy, is coaching really good football. They played Notre Dame last year up in Ireland. It was his first game as a head coach. Notre Dame got his number. Maybe if that game happened later on in the year, it would have been a closer game, but it was week 1. But now we've got an undefeated Navy. A great Navy football team, a potential national championship winning Navy football team, and that's no understatement right there, overstatement. That is a real potential possibility. For Notre Dame, this is a great football team. If Notre Dame doesn't lose that game to Northern Illinois, if they don't have that fluke game, they're the number 2 team in the country right now, in my opinion. You have that win over A&M, you're undefeated, you're the number 2 team in the country. You're better than the undefeateds in Penn State and Miami. I think I'd rank you over Georgia too. So it'd be 1 Oregon and 2 Notre Dame for me if they didn't lose that game in Northern Illinois. But they did. But they're still a great football team. As long as they don't collapse, as long as the triple option doesn't get to them. Because, like I said, Brett Bielema in Michigan, you plan for that game 365 days a year. For Notre Dame, you're playing for that triple option 365 days a year. And Notre Dame, guess the number right here. Notre Dame, very close. Very close. 21-17 over Navy Midshipmen. Notre Dame, go Irish. Keep their playoff hopes alive with a win at MetLife Stadium. Next game, Illinois versus Oregon. This is a great matchup because Illinois is a ranked team for me. Luke Altmaier, I really like the way he plays football. Brett Bielema, they got some swag now. It's in Illinois, Oregon versus Illinois. Let's go with Illinois. Cut it close, not to win it. I was thinking about maybe winning it, but Oregon is the best team in the country, everybody. They're not that vulnerable yet. Illinois does make it close to them, gives them a tight scare. So let's go. Oregon gets a big scare from Illinois in this one. Next game, Missouri versus Alabama. This is a very large spread. I'm no betting man. I'm only 16. The spread is plus 13.5 against Alabama. So, not going to say it's going to be plus 13.5. Expect Brady Cook. expect Luther Burden, expect their run game right here, led by Nate Noel, expect Elijah Drinkwitz not to go in Tuscaloosa to beat them, but to go in Tuscaloosa and have a great game. Unfortunately, come up short because I think Jalen Milroe finds some heroics late on in the game, but expect this to be a very close one. Kalen DeBoer gets a much-needed win over the Missouri Tigers, a good ranked team. Now, let's switch things over to the Big Ten, where I got a massive upset right here in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, at home. Jump around, everybody. They went outright over one of the top 3 teams in the country. Penn State, Wisconsin upsets Penn State. Luke Fickell's coaching some good football. I like their quarterback, Braden Locke. You never want to go up against Wisconsin, especially at home. This team plays a different style of football. It's going to trip up Penn State. Wisconsin wins over Penn State. Let's go. Badgers over Penn State. Next game, it's an ACC matchup, even though it's a little bit weird of an ACC matchup. The 6-1 SMU Ponies versus the 6-1 Duke Blue Devils. Duke wins this game. They go into Miami next week, 7-1, potentially going up against an 8-0 Miami team. That'd be a great matchup. For SMU, you win this game, you keep your ACC championship hopes alive because you are unbeaten right now in ACC play. Your only loss is to the BYU Cougars. You win this game, you can be a top 10 team in the country. You can be a top 15 team in the country. This is up in Wallace Wade Stadium in Duke. This Duke offense isn't incredible. Malik Murphy, you saw it at Texas last year. He didn't make great plays. He struggled at times. He played well in the second half against Florida State last week. Could have lost that game easily because they played very well in the first half defense. The defense let up a little bit in the second half. Malik Murphy kept things together, kept his composure, won that game for Duke. Can he do that here? I think he can, everybody. Duke wins it over SMU. What a big upset we have right here in the ACC. Duke over SMU. And the best game of the week, down south, LSU versus Texas A&M. Brian Kelly versus first-year head coach at Texas A&M, Mike Elko, the former Duke head coach. Mike Elko needs a signature win right here. He hasn't had a huge win yet in College Station. Lost to Notre Dame, beat Missouri. I'm not going to consider that a huge win. You beat LSU, year one. That's a huge win. You win this game, you're a top 10 team in the country. You might even be considered college ball playoff contender if you're not already. This running game is pretty good for Texas A&M. Connor Wakeman, since coming back from injury, a lot of people criticized Mike Elko for putting Connor Wakeman back in. They thought Marcel Reed was playing good football, which he was. Mike Elko knows what he has in Connor Wakeman, a good quarterback. For LSU, this team is very close to having 2 losses on the year, being out of college ball playoff contention. They're 1 loss to USC, which is alarming because USC is playing pretty terrible football right now with 4 losses. But Garrett Nussmeier, this run game, led by Caden Durham, a freshman. These receivers, Adam Anderson, Kyron Lacey, this defense is incredible. Let's go with the LSU Tigers to win the game of the week over Texas A&M. And that's about the showcase this week. Like I said, I'm your college ball analyst. We're going to get these 6 games right this week, these 6 hot takes. That's about for College Ball Showcase this week. Now, at the buzzer. This week's At the Buzzer is about one of the best father-son pro sports duos of all time. We're seeing it now, LeBron James and Brian James being the first father-son duo to be on the court at the same time in the NBA. But we've seen it in many other sports. Let's talk about the Griffies. That's probably the best of all time. I think a great moment in sports history is when Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. won back-to-back home runs. But even let's take it to the coaching game. What about Deion Sanders coaching his 2 sons, Shiloh and Shadur Sanders? Doc Rivers coaching his son, Austin Rivers. Bobby Bonds and Barry Bonds. There's a lot of great comparisons right here between father-son duos playing pro sports together or coaching. I have all these examples. But what's the best one? Leave your thoughts in the comments. That's about for the buzzer this week. Now, best for last question day. This week's question day is, what are you looking forward to the most this NBA season? What I'm looking forward to the most is the in-season tournament. How much will the in-season tournament affect New Year? It didn't affect it much last year with the Lakers winning it because the Lakers didn't really have much success in the playoffs. But this year, will the champion in-season tournament maybe have more success in the playoffs? Even the idea I have for the in-season tournament is if you win the in-season tournament, you get an automatic bye for the playoffs. Or even an automatic bye for the play-in game. That'd be an even better idea, in my opinion. Automatic bye for the play-in game of the playoffs if you win the in-season tournament. But what are you looking most forward to this NBA season? That's about for question today. That's about for Schoolyard Sports and Land Frank, episode 188. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the game. Be back here next week, episode 189. Stay tuned.